your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eat teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo, Sheil, and Zach kicking it cooler than breathing until Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Bo, Sheil, and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping their wings on.
They can be like bathing suits. What they, what.
Finish it up. Sometimes you gotta take them off.
What the hell?
What they show is revealing, but what they conceal is vital, right? So,
hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends on a Tuesday evening. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Sheil Kapadia, Marissa Morris here to talk a little bit more about Sunday's extremely disappointing loss to the New York Football Giants. Maybe begin to spin things a little forward towards this Sunday's game against the New York Football Jets. We'll talk a little coaching carousel with our college football expert, Zach Berman. We'll have the Squall 22 from Sheil. Back to Kapadia. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, I don't think we need to jump it. This isn't Cowboys division on the line. I don't think we need to jump ahead to that great Jets preview today. So I think we can stick to what happened this week in the game. I did.
Well, if you would just give me 1 second to talk about the Jets very briefly, this can be our entire Jets conversation. For our Thanksgiving episode, Zach closed it out with those very nice words. He said that, words of affirmation, that was his love language. But to me, how much does a partner really know you? How much does a partner really love you? How much does a partner really have your back? Well, today I was home with Casey, who's got a bit of he's feeling under the weather. So I didn't get to go into the coordinator press conferences, and I tune in, and all of a sudden I hear Zach shouting from the back with the question that could only have been a message to me.
Jets briefly. Elijah Riley's become a starter there. Says that's made some plays for them. What was the process here in terms of 53, the practice squad, and was it tough to lose him when you did?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Elijah a lot. We all did, and it just comes down to those decisions being made by Howie and Nick. You got to balance a lot of different things, with the roster and special teams and who's up and a pair and a spare and all that stuff. So, it was tough to see him walk out the building because, obviously he's a good player, but we feel good about the guys that we have now.
Zach, I love you too.
Well, I mean, first off, I hope everyone's okay at home. That's most important. But yeah, that and then you also texted me. You wanted clarity on Derek Barnett, and I asked Gannon that as well.
That I asked for. That was you were being a good teammate, but that was
the Elijah Riley question is also a nod to our outstanding Jets writer, Connor Hughes, who said that he's taking Florham Park by storm.
He's going up on the podium tomorrow, I heard.
He's a starter.
He's a starter. He started the last two games.
He's a starter. And then in Connor's write-up, and credit to Marissa for sharing it with us, in Connor's write-up, he says this is a guy who could be a starter for them the next few years. So clearly they're thinking about...
He might start the Pro Bowl next year.
They're thinking about Elijah Riley. That said...
We're always thinking about Elijah Riley. Birds with Friends.
We do have a lot to discuss in terms of Eagles news today. So when we'll
send it over to you in a minute.
Okay. Well, it doesn't even need to be a news update. I'm curious your opinion on some of this new stuff.
Yeah, Marissa, we can edit out a lot of
making plays on Monday Night
You can edit
Football.
that out. You can post it on the Jets pod, whatever you want to do there. You guys did such a great job with the post-game pod. Zach, I was very proud of you, not engaging in the nonsense. I thought you were crisp. I thought, what was it, 55, a cool 55 minutes. All of a sudden you said you're done. I'm looking at my phone going, wait a minute, they're done already? I feel like they just got started. That's the feeling you want to give listeners where they're saying, I want more of this. You want to leave them with that, not,
I got to tell you,
my gosh, how are they still going right now? So I thought
quick
that was
trigger
well
at the,
done. I went through all the offensive film today. I've been texting Coach Flynn all day long with some of these key plays. So we've got a lot to get to because I thought there were a lot of key plays in this game that you kind of could have viewed one way or the other. So we're going to get to all that. So if you tuned in and we're like, oh my gosh, are they really doing this again? Maybe I'll just skip to another podcast right now. Know that it will get better. You might have to jump around a little bit. You might have to hit that, forward 30-second button a little bit, but we'll get there eventually. If you tweet at me and want to know, like, at what minute does it actually get good, or do you actually get to something of substance, I can go ahead and give that to you later.
Quick trigger at the MetLife Stadium press box, like asking us to leave. Like they's like, how much longer are you guys going to be working? I had like just written my first sentence of the day after.
So what'd you do?
I finished as much of the top part as I could. Then I drove 90 minutes home and didn't finish until 2:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the worst way to do it, because when you're finished writing, you usually have some juice. So if you finish writing, you're good to be on the road because you're not like looking to sleep right away. But when you have to then drive, I'm always tired now after like a drive of more than I would say 90 minutes. When I get to the destination, I usually am like, all right, I need a coffee or a nap or something right now. So that's not the best way to do it.
Well, I agree that like by the end of the drive, I'm very tired. But then once it comes time to actually fall asleep, like once I feel tired and my head hits the pillow, not going to happen. I'm like, anytime there's pressure to fall asleep, it's going to take me too long to fall asleep.
But I do like that fresh. I do like that podcast right when we get up from the locker.
Yeah, you were feeling it.
I could have used like 20 minutes to just formulate my thoughts.
That's fine, but that's so much better than
better
like
for you.
Here's what you should do. Here's what you should do. You should do a come up, transcribe, pod, write. You transcribe, you got it all there. That's kind of a nuisance. Or do you have to transcribe a lot, or do you not have to transcribe much?
I mean, that's actually one of the beauties of doing the pod quickly,
so you
is then you get some quotes.
All right, I take that back. All right, let's get to it.
Okay. There is news at the Novacare Complex this week. Why don't we send it over to the Stone Cold newsman himself, Zachary Berman, live on the scene.
The biggest news to monitor at the Novacare Complex this week is the status of quarterback Jalen Hurts. He has a sore ankle. I was about to say Doug Peterson. Nick Sirianni, non-committal about Hurts' status. Perhaps there's some gamesmanship there, although if I can editorialize in this new segment, in my experience covering the Eagles, the injury to the quarterback is often worse than they let on, not better than they let on. I know it's a different coach and a different quarterback, but it is something to monitor here, because a sore ankle for Hurts is a notable injury. We will get to that in a bit. Jack Driscoll placed on injured reserve with an ankle injury. Because this is Jack Driscoll's second stint on injured reserve, it means he is out for the year. Similar, of course, to Christian McCaffrey down in Carolina, although not nearly as impactful. The Eagles will need a new right guard, at least for the time being. There's going to be no update on Brandon Brooks until after the bye. So at least for this Sunday, the right guard, I don't want to say competition, but who fills in for Driscoll, we can get to that. Our resident offensive line expert is going to have opinions here, but you're looking at Nate Herbig, Sua Opeta, and Brett Toth, who the Eagles promoted from the practice squad today to the 53-man roster. Elsewhere, they'll see how Jason Kelce feels this week. They'll see how Miles Sanders feels this week. Those are injuries to monitor as well, but not long-term injuries. And then Jordan Howard, they'll see how he feels as the week goes on too. There was quite a bit of conversation in the post-game podcast. I'm sorry, in the day after press conference, and then in the coordinator press conferences about Jalen Reagor. We can discuss that. And then another popular topic was the passing game. So that's the news. But if I can shift here from look at that. That's great insight right there.
Wow.
I'm thinking Herbig
Speaking of
too.
the O-line guru.
Yes. I am.
For those of you
Herbig
who
too.
are listening, we've got a chime in on the chat from one Michael Dunn, who says
I appreciate that this is what he's doing the first night of his bye week. So he is still in Cleveland and I'm in New Jersey still. So I appreciate
He's a
that.
loving
You could have been a little bit more mysterious there. You know, you could have said we have a playoff star from last year, just sort of chiming in the chat and giving us some O-line information. Let keep the people guessing a little bit. We're listening, not watching.
This is the joys of engagement life, because I've been married for 5+ years now, and my wife's not tuning into this podcast. So, the engaged life, you get.
You know what's funny about
I
that?
feel during that process, you're tuned in.
It's also like no longer the honeymoon phase of the podcast. Like in the very beginning, the first season or two, my wife and I think Sheil's wife listened to a lot of Birds with Friends. Not so much anymore. Although that
my
was also
wife still
before
listens.
both kids.
I don't know that she listens to every minute, but she does tune in. She does listen. In fact, on Monday when I saw her, I think she was eating lunch, or it might have even been Sunday night. No, I think it was Monday. She goes, "Oh, that podcast, that Birds with Friends, was exhilarating." I go, what are you talking about? You already listened to it? I didn't listen to it yet. She goes, yeah, Bo had bad Wi-Fi, so we had to go in the same room as Zach. And she's like filling me in. I'm like, all right, I usually listen to that on all right,
on number one fan, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up.
Maybe tied with a certain playoff hero, future Pro Bowler who occasionally tunes in.
Well said. The offensive line conversation is important. We can get to that, but obviously it always, and this might be like the old newspaper beat writer in me, but my ears perk up whenever there's a quarterback injury. And I do think it's notable for two reasons. First off, because his status is unknown. And like I said, we can never forget when Carson Wentz just had a back injury, right? Or he had a sore back, and then all of a sudden he didn't play.
Hey guys, I'm going to start with injuries today.
Yeah, exactly. And over the years, that has proven to been the case. Whether it wasn't just a Peterson-Wentz combination, whether it was Foles, Vic, the injury to the quarterback. As I said, it's often worse than they let on. So curious to see that. And then the second part of it is, even if Jalen, we know Hurts is a tough guy, even if he plays through it, Hurts with a sore ankle might not be the same Hurts. So much of what he does is his threat to run. So curious to see if that's a factor. And then one last nugget before I give it to you. I don't know if this is standard operating procedure or not, but in their kind of clandestine gamesmanship, if you will, Shane Steichen said today, Gardner Minshew's in the building today. He's getting ready. We're proceeding as if, Hurts is the quarterback, but, we'll see what happens. So there were a lot of writers who jumped on Minshew being in the building today.
If he said the way he said that, like if they were preparing for Minshew to be the quarterback, he would have been in the building yesterday. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's fair.
Shane Steichen being cagey about whether Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew is going to start a game against the New York Jets.
Like the worst game of poker ever played.
NFL nonsense right there.
Speaking of Herbig, I forgot to bring this up on the post-game pod. Potentially the moment of the game for me was last play of the third quarter. The Eagles are, I think, on the 1 yard line. They don't score. And so they have to change ends third quarter to fourth quarter, and it's the longest walk possible for the offensive line. They have to go 1 yard line all the way 98 yards across to the 1 yard line, and like poor Nate Herbig having to make that walk. It was very funny.
What did you make of?
He's a gamer. When it's time to when the whistle blows, he's ready.
Like, nobody lets you know that he's winded more than Nate Herbig. He does a good job.
Yeah, they could have used him less winded on that last drive of the first half, because those holding penalties killed them.
Jeez, sorry, Nate. You get your snaps right. You're called on to come in and play center in the middle of a game against $21 million a year, Leonard Williams, and you have a couple penalties. And you look a little tired, and these guys are just crushing you.
He took points off the board.
Well, yeah, no, I heard your question in the post-game pod, and I think probably it was hard to tell. The linebacker was kind of knifing inside, so I think maybe if he didn't hold him, that doesn't score.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
So do you, as far as Sirianni
Hurts
not saying that Herbig's the right guard. I don't mean to jump over Hurts. We can discuss
It's
Hurts
okay.
too, but
Start
not
with the right
saying
guard. I agree.
that he's the right guard this week. Do you feel that's just gamesmanship, or do you think they're seriously considering Opeta?
I changed what I said. Nick Sirianni being cagey about whether Nate Herbig or Sua
He
Opeta
was.
is going to
Well,
start at right guard against the New York Jets is peak NFL nonsense.
Well, here's how I will. This is honestly how I will break this down.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Then can we move on?
I mean, it should be Herbig because Opeta is like just a left guard. He has like struggled when he's played on the right side. He went in 2 weeks ago in Denver when Dickerson went down. He went over Herbig at left guard. Toth is also generally left side focused, so I would expect it will be Herbig. However, there's no other backup center on the roster because Jack Anderson is on IR. So if Herbig is active, then with Kelsey banged up, you get into a little who's going to be the backup center. Can Sua snap? No.
Well, Dickerson can, but
Maybe Dickerson moves over. Yeah. And so that's what they're going to balance is how much do they prioritize having Herbig as the game day backup swing guy versus is there a bigger difference between Herbig and Sua or whoever at right guard? Now, obviously, were it me, you've got a starting right guard sitting on your practice squad in Coyote Awashika. Let's
save something for Thursday. I mean, you guys are all the good stuff is just being used here. Let's wait till Thursday to get into the matchup specific stuff.
Let's quickly on Hurts. Obviously, the other factor here is that this is their last game before the bye, so there's rest looming on the other side for the Eagles. I would be pretty shocked if Jalen Hurts doesn't play on Sunday.
Yeah,
but
your doctor now
be affected.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be surprised.
When did he get injured? Do we know? Did you already say that?
It was on one of the plays in I think the third quarter.
Okay.
He got tackled
the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You have any other reaction to that bit of news, Sheil?
No.
Okay. Why don't we? You don't have much on the defense today, right? We're just doing offense.
No, I didn't get to watch the defense, so we could.
There really wasn't much to say.
That's what I thought. I am going to watch the defense. I just I was focused on the offense. I thought there were a lot of key plays. I think there were a lot of big storylines, and so it got to 4:30ish, and I thought I haven't done any exercise in a few days here. Either I improve my health, get a little workout in, and not watch the defense, or I can not exercise and I can watch the defense. And so I chose myself over the all 22 of the Eagles defense.
Okay, well, you chose wrong. Obviously, prioritize the show, please. But what'd you do for your workout?
I know. Not getting into the details of my workout with you.
Why not? You go for a run? You go to a gym?
Do I look? No, I don't do either of those things. All right.
It's calisthenics.
I'm curious. Last play of the game. I don't mean to jump on Bo here.
No, let's start there. Let's get to it.
Well, I was going to go break and then get into the Squall 22.
Okay.
Segment wise, because we've got 2 breaks. Keep that in the meat in the middle of the sandwich.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear from some of Sheil's favorite products.
You know what happened this morning? I went to my cabinet to make a cup of coffee, and I realized there was none there. That's when I realized I need to up the frequency of my Trade coffee deliveries. I love this product. Trade's goal is to make every cup of coffee your best ever. The journey to your perfect cup starts with taking their coffee quiz. You use a French press, automatic drip, you're a cold brew person, no problem. Your answers will allow Trade to pair you with the perfect coffee to fit your taste. Trade will match you to coffees you'll love from 400 plus craft coffees and will send you a freshly roasted bag as often as you'd like. Trade guarantees you'll love your first match. On the off chance you don't, they'll replace it with a different bag for free. Give feedback as you sip. As your preferences evolve, your coffee matches will too. You can feel good about each cup since Trade partners with 55 plus small US-based roasters who are committed to ethical and sustainable sourcing. I'm telling you, I love this product. I went online, I filled out what kind of coffee I like. I like bold, I like dark. I don't put anything in it. A bag of coffee beans just shows up at my house. I upped it to every 10 days. It was every 2 weeks. That's not enough with the amount of coffee I drink. This product is fantastic. You've got to try it out for our listeners right now. Trade is offering $20 off your first 3 bags at checkout. To get yours, go to drinktrade.com/BWF and use promo code BWF. Take the quiz to start your journey to the perfect cup. That's drinktrade.com/BWF. Promo code BWF for $20 off your first 3 bags. And this holiday season, give the coffee lover in your life the gift of better coffee too. Oh, I love this. What a great gift idea. You can give them their own personalized gift coffee subscription from Trade. Great gift idea for the holidays. Enjoy. Let's talk student debt. You could potentially save thousands with refinancing. Earnest was voted best student loan refinancing overall by NerdWallet. Earnest has some of the lowest rates, flexible payments, and an in-house team ready to help. With Earnest, you could change your interest rate, get a lower monthly payment, and you never pay fees, not even late fees. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real live human at Earnest for help. When you pay less interest, you can put that money towards your goals. With Earnest, it only takes 2 minutes to see what your new rate could be, and there's no credit impact. And right now, Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. Refinance your student debt at earnest.com/birds. Not available in all states. Once again, you get a $100 cash bonus when you visit earnest.com/birds to refinance your student loan. Terms and conditions apply. Earnest Student Loan Refinancing made by Earnest Operations, LLC, NMLS number 1204917, California Financing Law License number 6054788, 535 Mission Street, San Francisco, California 94105. Visit earnest.com/licenses for a full list of licenses.
All right, back on Birds with Friends. Zach, you're going to go to the last play of the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm curious, when Sheil watched film, what you saw there. A, did you think Devontae Smith was reasonably open? B, did you think, I guess what'd you think of Hurts's decision and his throw? And C, did Jalen Reagor, does he deserve the flack, if you will, that he's getting? And as I say that, make sure our listeners check out Poe's The Day After column, because I thought he did a good job contextualizing the Jalen Reagor situation.
Well, what did the coaches say? Because I know they've been asked about this play. I don't know. I didn't see Steichen today, but I know Sirianni's talked about it. So how did they explain what happened there?
They're basically saying Devontae wasn't as open as the Twitter films would suggest. Basically, I see. I'll defer to Bo here, but basically that he wasn't open off the release. He might have been open during the scramble, but the way Bradbury was playing and the way the safety was playing, they didn't think it was like he needs to get the ball to Devontae.
And Devontae and Quez were not exactly precise in their route discipline, as Sirianni said. I think Quez is supposed to get more in Bradbury's way to free Devontae there. And so like Devontae is, or Bradbury is underneath the throw. So it's a tough throw. It would be a hell of a throw for Hurts from that angle. And then, as you see, when he does sort of flash open as he turns up, that's when Hurts has to move up in the pocket. And by that point, the safety is over top, it seems to me.
Okay. Yeah. So I was looking at this. I was texting Coach Flynn for his insight. I was thinking he's been gracious with his insight now. I guess it would be like 2013, maybe the first time, we connected a little bit. He was the Chip Kelly aficionado. So thank you to Coach Flynn for educating me for, 9 years? Now, our 9th season of me texting him, here's what I think happened here. Please explain to me why I'm wrong and what actually happened here. So I think what Sirianni said and
a
what
name for you to remember, Zach, as we get into the potential head coach hires at some of the major universities later in the show.
Would he still respond to my text though? I mean, be careful with the job. I mean, let's make the main thing, as they say.
Only if it's a 7 a.m. team meeting, right?
That's right. So I think my
love personally for Coach Flynn is limitless.
Is that the mesh, or whatever you want to call it, with Quez and Devontae was done poorly. It was 2-man coverage. So it's man coverage across the board with 2 deep safeties, split safeties, 1 on each half of the field. And so I think Sirianni talked about that too, that was the coverage they expected, was 2-man. The Giants, I think, had played it on the previous 2 plays. So they thought they were going to get it again, and they did get it. And so it was a fine play call, a fine concept to call against 2-man, because you don't want to call something where you're running right into one of those safeties. So the mesh needs to be better. During the Chip Kelly era, that was when they did the slapping hands thing, right? Yeah. So you don't need to do that. I'm not saying they should have done that, but that needs to be close to the point where Devontae Smith is running off his corner, James Bradbury, basically into Quez. It doesn't have to be right into him, but there should be some interference, some way to create a little more space so that he slows down and that the throw is easier for Jalen Hurts. So, Devontae Smith was still able to kind of run away from Bradbury, but Mailata gets beaten there on the left side. And so there is some pressure. Coach Flynn thought that Hurts had an opportunity to get it to Devontae Smith on that initial route, basically, as he's running that crossing route across the field. Not that it was easy. I don't think anyone would look at that and say it's egregious. He should have gotten him the ball right there. Like you were just saying, Bo, I think it would have been a difficult throw, but he thought that, you would have had an opportunity if you've kind of practiced that, if you have trust in the receiver, and you're just a quarterback who's willing to kind of trust everything there, that you would let it go. He would have caught it and he would have had the first down. Now, once the scramble drills start, then Devontae Smith kind of angles upfield, and it's sort of a totally different scenario. So once that happens and Hurts is buying time and hit Reagor. I mean, it's funny when you watch it, like Rager's not open at all. I mean, the corner is really right there. It's a total jump ball situation, but it's a fantastic throw. And, he gets in front of the corner and he's right there. And he's got to make that catch. So it's
really bad.
Is that a touchdown if he catches it, or is he down at the 2?
I think he might be down at the 1. I think he might.
Maybe he's down at the 1. I'm not sure.
He could also he could fight for it. It's not like he's definitely down.
Yeah. So it's such a narrative defining play right there to so many degrees.
And the play before, because that was a great throw.
Oh, the one down the left sideline?
Down the left sideline, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great play by Hurts, because that was a unexpected blitz, and it's man coverage across the board with one high safety, but the safety's kind of shaded over to the hash towards I guess it would be the right side, the near side. Exactly, yeah. And so that's a true one-on-one, and that's Jalen Reagor against a rookie corner, Aaron Robinson, which is so funny that we had our big leg. You didn't explain that in the post game?
So this is what I meant to. This is how
might have missed it.
This is how I meant to start the show.
You wrote about it.
The Wi-Fi threw me off, and I totally forgot about it. But it is crazy how much what we joked about on the night of the second draft, how it exactly came to play. And Marissa, I think we can actually roll that clip.
Oh.
Sam Donahue sits in the press box, and you're just gonna hear him cheering, and you'll be like, "Wait, there's nothing going on," and you're gonna look up at the TV and Aaron
monitoring the other games.
Aaron Robinson's gonna
he went to the Giants, right?
Oh yeah,
we're gonna get to play him twice. They're gonna get to play him twice a year.
Those have to be on prime time.
He's gonna this is gonna go back to, but Howie's heavy-handed personnel. The game plan that week is gonna be throw at Aaron Robinson every chance you get. Double moves on Aaron Robinson. Attack him down the field.
The Tuesday meeting after they win by 30. Why the hell did we... Nick, why didn't we attack it?
They ran for 350 yards.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Robinson more.
How he was inactive, I don't give.
Oh my gosh! All right,
I think that's a good summation of our podcast right there.
I mean, that's amazing. Everything about it. Yeah. Okay, now, Bo, as usual, did not really, set that up very well. So for those who don't know, I think mostly, and the sickos who are in here know, if you're a listener who maybe joined the podcast afterward, this goes back to the infamous Tom Donahoe being upset in the draft room, and we were trying to figure out why was he so upset with it was the trade back, right? And then they took
Robinson
Milton
is one of
Williams.
the 2 players who was picked in between.
At the time,
the other
at the
Yeah.
time, we thought it was Robinson and not Ali McNeil.
Yes.
That was before there was clarity on the situation. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, wow, that's incredible. That's exactly.
And so Aaron
happened.
Robinson is their 4th corner. Darnay Holmes gets injured mid-game, so Aaron Robinson goes in, and they really were like throwing at him every play.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a great play. It was a blitz, like I said, and Lane Johnson did a great job crushing the blitzer. Jalen Hurts kind of backpedaled, and then what a throw. Fantastic throw, not an easy throw, and Jalen Reagor can't come down with that one either. So it was if either of those plays are made, even the other play, was it 3rd down where he threw to Reagor in the middle of the field? Right, where he was kind of running a dig and he came across, and
Earlier in the game?
No, same possession. I'm looking at here.
Let me pull this up.
Good play. Ray couldn't finish. Yes, yeah, it was the next play after the miss to Reagor down the left sideline.
Okay.
Then there's another play. I mean, that was again 2-man coverage. And Jalen Reagor, is definitely
that's
open.
When Devontae, that's when Devontae barks after that. He's like, that's when he's really pissed that he's not getting the ball.
Oh, really? Okay, gotcha. On that one, I mean, you could definitely make the case if Hurts gets rid of that ball sooner, they have a chance to hit Reagor on that play as well. So those are the things that stand out there with that final drive. And like I was saying, I mean, if Reagor comes down with that, we're talking about, wow, Hurts didn't have a great game, but I remember these stories about Donovan McNabb. It's he didn't have a great game, but man, look at what he did down the stretch. He drove them back. They won the game. What perseverance by the second-year quarterback. That's fantastic. Not every win's going to be pretty, but they gutted it out. They made plays when they needed to. This team's going to the playoffs. Like, it can be so small, these things. Just, if Reagor comes down with either of those, we're talking about Reagor. Wow, Rager's had a terrible career so far, but maybe this is his signature moment. Maybe this gives him a little bit of a boost. Maybe it gives him some confidence going forward. And instead, it's kind of the opposite of all of those things.
So, I mean, obviously there's a larger Hurts conversation to have. He had his worst game of the season. But it's interesting you bring up McNabb, because I was looking before the show, just to sort of compare Hurts, the season he's having, to some of like his contemporaries, right? So Lamar, Dak, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray are the guys I looked at, and I just looked at their sophomore seasons. So just year 2, not like the first 16 starts or whatever. I think that's probably the fair way to contextualize it. And in some areas he's behind, like his completion percentage is lower. He doesn't turn the ball over as much as some of these guys. He has, he's sort of middle of the road for yards per attempt. Obviously, he has more rushing yards than any of them except for Lamar Jackson. But it's not like he's not totally out of place. But then you look back, and the guy, like, historically who his numbers are most similar to are Donovan McNabb, which is kind of funny. I mean, obviously, different eras.
How many quarterbacks did you look at?
Putting up these numbers in that era was more impressive. Right. But I mean, that's all time. It's basically, I did just a couple completion percentage, yards per attempt, and like a very low number of rushing yards, just to see who was there. And it's Michael Vick is there. I can pull it up in a second, but it's funny. Like, McNabb is the guy who has the most similar numbers.
Okay.
Mark Brunell, RG3, Steve Young.
Wait, his sophomore season can't be like, oh no, that was RG3's rookie year, right? Where he put up the ridiculous numbers.
He was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
He was coming off the injury his second year.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't,
that's what I write about in a book coming out.
Seems like an interesting book, honestly.
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't have
feel
a lot of
any,
interest in
any
it.
juice on the inside of the Washington football team organization is going to be interesting to me.
Okay. Some notes that I wrote down here. Bo, I wonder how you feel about your post-game take about the game plan now that you've had a couple days to kind of think about it. I know it's hard after a game, especially right after a game before you dug
I'm
into
glad you
it.
asked this.
Well, yeah, because it's good. And I appreciate that you had a take, because the last thing you want to do is come on a post-game podcast and say, well, I haven't really digested everything yet. I have nothing to say. But I wonder how you feel about it now, saying that, they got away from what they do well. They didn't have a good game plan. And your takeaway was that Nick Sirianni had a bad game.
I mean, I still think that the game plan was not as good as it should have been. I think they didn't lean into their strengths as much as they should have, especially early. But I did think, thinking of it back and watching it back, that I was a little bit too harsh on like Sirianni to blame over Hurts to blame. Not that Hurts, I don't think I ever said after the game that Hurts wasn't to blame. I think it was table stakes that he played terribly, but putting him in that situation, I thought was a worse job by Sirianni than I think it was 2 days later. I still think I still think it wasn't a great game plan, but nevertheless.
Yeah, minor flex here. The mornings after the games, I go on the John Kincaid show on 97.5 The Fanatic. And but I bring that up because oftentimes, like, I'm in a tunnel vision. I have tunnel vision about my coverage and what I saw in those hours after the game. And then I tend to realize kind of what the fan discussion is based on the questions that they ask me the morning after the game. That's why
it's always funny when one of those like totally catches you off guard. It's something you hadn't even thought about.
Yeah.
Like,
well, so they were making a big deal about analytics, right? They were thinking that, like, first off, Sirianni was because apparently on the broadcast, Schlereth was talking about the Eagles analytics department, and that was a talking point, and that they were giving Sirianni this
again.
that they were talking that they were giving Sirianni this game plan. And so they were asking me, they were really putting it on like Sirianni and Howie and thank you very much, the truth, and the analytics department.
No context needed.
And I kept going back to, like, Jalen Hurts touches the ball every play. I can't absolve Jalen. Like, you can't say the problem is the coach called passing plays. The problem is that the guy threw the ball to the other team and that he couldn't complete passes. So I agree that they could have run the ball more. I thought Sirianni said it well, that you don't have to run it on 2nd and 10 all the time. Like, if you're, so there were times that they could have run it on 2nd and 10, but I thought, like, I'm not going to absolve Jalen Hurts the same way I gave Jalen Hurts credit in with the first half of the Denver game, the second half of the Chargers game. And I thought he was playing well and efficiently in those previous weeks. Hurts had a bad game. He had an inexcusable interception, and he did not complete enough passes. And so when he touches the ball on every play, I hold him more responsible than the person calling the plays.
So I was looking at some of the numbers with the run frequency, and it's not as bad as I would have thought watching live. I mean, they ran 67% of the time, if you use the Ben Baldwin thing, on early downs, I believe it was.
Hard. I can't imagine ever a team running for 200 yards feeling underwhelming.
I think so. So I think if you look at it, they were basically among the 5 or 6 most run heaviest teams of the week. So that ratio wasn't totally out of whack when you take out the last drive, like Zach was saying, I think, in the post-game pod. There were stretches of this game where they were just mauling them on the ground. I mean,
but that's the thing, is those were their good drives.
Yes, I think it was situationally. I thought Nick Sirianni's worst moment was the 3rd and 2 and the 4th and 2. I mean, that to me was just an absolutely a key stretch there. I hated the 2 calls. 3rd and 2, they're running a pick play to Kenny Gainwell. And 4th and 2,
his first snap of the game.
4th and 2, it's Reagor one-on-one. It's double slants on the left side. It's one-on-one. I mean, there's nothing there. There's no pick element. There's nothing. It's, hey, Jalen Reagor, go win. And that's got to be a very accurate throw on a slant there. And so they lose both of those. And I was just looking at their numbers in short yardage. 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2 or less on the season, when they've run the ball this season, they've converted 81% of the time. When they haven't run the ball, it's at 57%. And you just watch the game, and it's like they had this one play that Ted Wynn has written about. I think it's called QB counter bash, that they were just over and over and over again. It's where the guard and the tackle, they both pull. Hurts can either hand the ball off. He reads the guy on the end. He can either hand it off, or he can just take off up the middle. And Mailata was just like basically putting people like 6 feet under on this play over and over again. I'm just looking at that going, all right, fine. If you want to take a shot like 3rd and 2, you know you're going on 4th down, I don't have an issue. 3rd and 2, you want to chuck it downfield, maybe try to get a chunk play, go for it. But like, that's not what they did. I mean, they're trying they're trying to get 4 yards with a pass play on 3rd down. And so I hated those 2 calls. I thought that was the kind of worst part of the game plan and the play calling for Sirianni. The rest of it, I didn't think was that big of a deal.
I do think it's a fair criticism of the game plan that they didn't make more of an effort to get Devontae Smith involved.
Now that's where I would go with Z-Berm. I think there was a lot. I think there were opportunities to get Devontae Smith the ball. Now Bradbury, I don't know if it was every play. I didn't chart it, but Bradbury was traveling with Smith quite a bit, even on that 4th and 2. Bradbury is with Devontae Smith. He's in the slot. Yeah, I saw him go with him in the slot. And so not that Bradbury is like Jalen Ramsey, but I mean, he's by far their best cornerback. They've got backups at the other spots. But even then, I can go through here, but there were at least like 5 times where it's like, all right, that the ball could have gone to Devontae Smith right there. So I would put that a little bit more on Jalen Hurts than Nick Sirianni there. The interceptions. So there were the 3 interceptions. The first one, 3rd down, they go to Quez. I thought it was a fine read and a fine throw by Jalen Hurts. That one, Coach Flynn was confirming this or spelling it out even more clearly to me, that he said watching live, he thought Hurts should have just checked it down. I think it was Miles Sanders was the back there. But he said, watching the clip that I sent him, you can make a case that Quez Watkins got held there. I mean, there was definitely contact there.
And it looks like he's going to get open.
At the same time, I mean, an NFL player can probably complain about a flag on many plays. And so you have to be strong, fight through contact, keep going, don't stop there. If he does that, it's a good throw. And so I didn't think that one was on Jalen Hurts. The second interception, that play, I believe, is for Devontae Smith. We just talked about Devontae Smith. He's running a corner route against man coverage. He gets jammed there, and so Hurts comes off of it. And then obviously that one's on Hurts. You can't make a decision like that. Just escape, throw the ball away. I mean, you probably should throw the ball away almost right away because there's 8 seconds on the clock when that play starts. And so that one's definitely on him. The 3rd interception, this is something we probably haven't talked about enough, and I think it's shown up more in the last 2 or 3 weeks, is Hurts' arm strength. I mean, there are times here, like, you can't not have a great arm and also be late. And I think that's showing up over a lot to me. And I thought that's what happened on that 3rd interception. It's cover 3, it's single high safety. And so I don't think there was any disguise there. And so that's one of those where you say, all right.
He checks to that play too.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're saying, all right, my guy's going to get one-on-one on the outside. Let's go ahead and take a shot, which is fine. I mean, every team does that, and the look you're getting. And so you can go ahead and do that. I actually thought Reagor did a pretty good job on that play. I mean, he's got a step or 2 on the cornerback where, again, if you don't have a great arm, the ball's got to come out right away. I think Coach Flynn was saying on his 3rds to just let your back foot hit and just let it rip. You're going there. Don't wait. I mean, you wait and then it gets there late, and it's a very good play by, I think it was McKinney on that play, right? Yeah. So he's middle of the field to get to that spot. Like, he shouldn't be able to get to that spot. Basically, he's only getting there if the throw is late or if the throw hangs up there. And it did both of those things. And so I feel like that's something Hurts has to work on and get better at. Like, if you're going to throw those, is his arm going to get stronger? I don't know. I guess some of these quarterback coaches, maybe you could get a little bit stronger, but more likely you're just going to have to be able to throw that ball earlier there. So that's how I saw the 3 interceptions.
And I think that's, if you are bullish on Jalen Hurts, you are hoping that is the thing that gets corrected, that is able to improve over time with reps, is being a better anticipatory thrower. And I think there is reason to believe that is something that can improve. And that's sort of my frustration with like every time Jalen Hurts has a bad game, like this guy cannot be like, this is why he can't be a quarterback.
I agree with you. That's gotten very annoying. Can we just watch I mean, we can talk about it, but to draw a conclusion after every game just seems silly. And yeah, people were doing it after last game, and now the other side's coming back in this game, and they've got it. Like, you guys, it's fine to have your opinion and state it, but like, I don't know. It would be nice before you just nail down.
I would expect the opposite take. I would expect the opposite take from you, Sheil, because you often say like,
have a take, and
like this is what's fun about being a sports fan.
Yeah, you're right.
And,
that's true.
And when you have a quarterback who's not the guy, or I shouldn't say not the guy, who they don't know if it's the guy, and the entire context of the season is like, all right, well, but let's learn about him. Then basically what you get is 17 chapters. And every chapter is either yay or nay, right?
Although I do feel like it's a situation where minds are already made up and you're waiting for your side to.
You're trying to either confirm or.
And then you're like.
See the
that
interesting
is sort of what
thing
it feels like.
But you're right. Yeah. No, I do hate when people are like, you're right. That's a nice call out by you.
I also think
people when they say, let's just wait, like, fine, we won't do a podcast until we'll be back when the season's over and we can draw all our conclusions. So that's a nice job out of you.
I also think, and I'm not, ripping on anyone's report here, but just like the way things are framed, I thought Bo did a really good job explaining. He talked about this, and he's written about it. He talked about it in his mock draft reaction today. Like, it's possible to be the quarterback of next year and not like the long. It's almost presented like binary, as if you're either. They're moving on from him or he's their guy going forward, when there could very well be, all right, let's roll with him another year. He's inexpensive. He's a good teammate. He's a good player. Yeah. Let's see if it works next year.
Let's see if he can make those improvements.
Exactly. And like Bo said, let's see the 2023 Dane Brugler mock draft. And the joke there being like, it doesn't need to be either, all right, you hitch your wagon to him now or you don't. The only time you're in that situation is if it's like a Baker Mayfield situation, for instance, in Cleveland, where the guy, you have to decide, are you going to pay him or are you not going to pay him?
Even then, even with that, like, I feel like there's some jump into, because you have the 5th-year option, you have the franchise tag. I mean, if you want optionality because you're not sure, is it going to cost you more later? Yes. But if you'd rather just, if you're not sure and you want that, there are ways to kind of get that too. Now, there are obviously your relationships and egos and all that are involved in that. So I'm not saying it's an easy decision, but you're absolutely right. I mean, really, they might enter this offseason and like the QB factory thing. I know Howie Roseman wishes he never said that. Like, that should kind of be their mindset. If like you see somebody and you're like, ooh, I kind of like this guy's upside, you should kind of probably be taking a few swings. Now we'll see how the season plays out. Maybe it'll be different than that, but that sort of seems to be the way, the direction it's trending in right now.
My thing is just that, like, we don't know what the output is going to end up being. We don't know what the final product is going to be for Jalen Hurts, but the input for if he is going to be like a good quarterback is still going to be games like this. Like, he has to go through these things in order to get to that eventual endpoint anyway. So, like, if he's going to get there, there are going to be ups and downs along, 2 years or a year and a half of starting. So, not that, like, we can't say he had a terrible game. He's the reason they lost this game, which is true. But it doesn't mean that, like,
well, I would say he's part of the reason. I don't necessarily.
I'm overstating it just to give the other side of the argument credence. But, like, that doesn't mean that it's a final answer, or that, like, those things can't improve. I don't know.
I mean, if I were Jalen Hurts' agent, I could easily.
He made 2 game-winning plays.
I could easily spin that the Boston Scott touchdown getting called back. That had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. The Greg Ward drop that had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. The 2 throws to Jalen Reagor that could have led to, been game-winning touchdowns, those had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts.
Boston Scott fumble.
The Boston Scott fumble had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. The interception that we just talked about, where Quez Watkins doesn't fight through contact and get where he's supposed to do, that had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. So I can say, all right, he didn't play his best game. He played, he played a C- game, but he didn't exactly get a lot of help from his teammates in that game. And again, there could be a conversation. I mean, look at Russell Wilson's numbers, like his rookie season. Look at some of the games he had where he put up terrible numbers and played poorly, and they won. And the narrative would continue to be, all right, he's a winner. He's a winner. And so it does change pretty quickly. I mean, to me, this was a bad game by Jalen Hurts. Don't get me wrong. But
it was also
it looked like the type of bad game. It looked like the type of bad game that a quarterback who runs a lot and in his what number start was it for him?
16
is going to have. Like, it wasn't totally unexpected out of nowhere. I mean, there was little stuff, some of the layups, like remember when we had the Carson Wentz conversations and I would get so mad at get him some layups and I'm like, he can't make layups. I thought those were some misses here. Like even the screen to Goddard, there was that throw early on. I don't know if it was the second drive and they're trying to get Goddard to touch and he kind of throws it behind him and then Goddard has to spin around and that gets stopped there. Like I mentioned, I thought there were chances to get Devontae Smith the ball. I'm looking at a play here, forced to throw to Quez Watkins, checked it down to Quez Watkins, had Goddard on an over route against cover 3. It didn't look like a great throw to Reagor on that 4th and 2 slant. I don't know. I couldn't tell if the defensive back got a hand on that.
That one looked weird too. We had a weird angle on that one.
Yeah, you probably could blame a bunch of people for that one. So the interception, the 2 interceptions, you absolutely can place blame on him there. So I'm not saying he played great, but I do think that it was also there are other scenarios where they could have won the game with him playing that poorly, I guess.
Right. It was also, I was going to say, just an atypically, like he wasn't bad in a way that he's been bad this season. It was only his second game with multiple turnovers. Like he's done a good job protecting. This was a weird game in that way. And also, just very briefly, you mentioned the throw to Ward. That was one of my other nitpicks of the Sirianni play calling was that sequence from the 1 yard line at the end of the first half. The play to Ward, then going empty on the run.
What's wrong
to
with
Jalen
the play
Hurts.
to Ward? I mean, that was a perfect play. That's a play they've probably repped like hundreds of times. So. That's like the easiest play.
Well,
that's like the go-to play in every team's red zone playbook. Well, you can. I'm fine with you ripping that it should have been somebody else. But listen, Sirianni doesn't exactly have a ton of options.
Well, that's the other thing.
You don't want it to be Reagor. You don't want it to be Ward. You don't want it to be Whiteside.
Well, there's
you
this
certainly
cry.
don't want it to be Jack Stoll.
Exactly. There's this cry to like bench
Smith
Jalen Reagor, and I know that's been a thing. Like, bench him for who? I mean, don't throw him the ball. Sure, maybe just play 12 personnel, maybe, but like he's got to be on the field in 11 personnel. You can't just take him off the field.
If I wanted to be, I don't even know if troll is the right word or a hot take artist, or if there's, hey, let's say Marissa's crew is like, guys, this podcast, the numbers are terrible. We need something good. We're social media teams gonna tweet this out. I mean, the higher ups are telling me they're gonna give this all kind of promotion. We're gonna send it to the radio station. I think I would have led the pod with a take that despite the drops at the end, this was Jalen Reagor's most encouraging game as a pro in terms of, again, there's a reason why I see all your faces and there's a reason why I did not lead with this, but in terms of like separating, getting open, it's 2 nice catches. I'm not going overboard with it. The one was behind him. The other one,
they wanted to line him up against Aaron Robinson.
Down the left sideline, like there were morsels. If you were like I was a Jalen Reagor backer coming out of college, so I guess I would fall.
Yeah, this is you protecting the brand here.
But let's say there was someone in the organization who was just like the person pounding the table for Jalen Reagor. They could put together a little cut up from this game that says, look, this guy's improving. Hey, offensive coaches, good job coaching this guy up. Just, those 2 plays at the end, we'd like to have those back, but he actually did some nice things here. I think you could potentially make that case.
I think wide receiver is a significant need for the Eagles still. the Reagor
I'm not
numbers
arguing
that
that.
were in the that I had on the day after, some of them are just like crazy. The craziest one to me is of all players drafted last year, so every position, in terms of 2021 production, he is 26th in receiving yards.
Every wide receiver taken in 2021. You said?
Every player. So that means behind wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends.
Oh, skill. Okay, skill position players.
He's 26th.
Whew. Not great.
Fourth of those players drafted. It's insane. All right. Well, let's take our last break and come back and finish up the Squall 22 if there's anything left on that bone, and then head things over to our college football expert, Zach Berman.
This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months for free. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. It is the perfect time to switch. Mint Mobile's best offer of the year is here. Again, for a limited time, buy any 3-month plan and get 3 more months free. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings to you. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. With Mint Mobile, choose the amount of monthly data that's right for you and stop paying for data that you never use. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. For a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/birds. That's mintmobile.com/birds. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/birds. When the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready. Roman ready. Go to getroman.com/BWF now to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction and get $15 off your first month of treatment. ED is more common than most people think. In fact, 52% of men between the ages of 40 and 70 will experience some form of ED. Roman Ready is confidence personified. It is the self-assurance that comes from knowing you've prepared yourself for the moment when intimacy arrives. Roman's system is completely confidential and totally discreet. No big logos or labels on packages. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. Go to getroman.com/BWF today, and if you're prescribed, get $15 off your first month of ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this fall. Roman Ready.
All right, back on Birds with Friends. Anything left to address from the Squall 22, Sheil?
I don't think so. I mean, Devontae Smith, he had 3 targets, I think, on the first 2 drives. So I think they were trying to get him the ball early. I don't think this was a game. I do think there were moments in this game where they said Devontae Smith's got Bradbury on him and let's go to another matchup, which I don't know if necessarily should be doing that. But then I thought there were absolutely opportunities where, whether the play was called to Devontae Smith or not, that there were opportunities for Hurts to get him the football. And someone in the chat asked, is Smith getting open consistently? And I would say absolutely yes on this. I mean, there's another scenario where he has 6-7 catches for 80-90 yards in this game. Now, having said that, I agree with every inclination to, hey, force feed it to him a little bit if you have to throw it to him when he's not open. I mean, you don't want a situation like the Seahawks on Monday night where DK Metcalf, he didn't get a target until the last drive of the
I was saying one of my worst takes ever that I think my one fantasy football take was that DK Metcalf should be like a first round pick this year.
Oh,
Boy,
how
was
about
I-
the video?
boy,
How
was I
about the
wrong on
video
that.
we did thinking the Seahawks were going to?
Well, that was you. That was your pick. We said that Zach and I were on the Chiefs.
You
baby.
said you were going to use. One of you said you
I
were going to
was-
do.
I
You
was
said you were
gonna
doing the
use it.
same thing. What
Yeah,
are you
but
talking
we just
about?
go on the record. You made the pick, man.
No. I will own that. I was going to pick that. Yeah, so I will own that. Yeah.
And you literally said I think the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs too.
I did, but I didn't pick it. I went on the record with the Chiefs.
I'm glad I smoked you in the turkey game or whatever we call that. Yeah. All right. No, nothing else.
Milana impressive to you?
Yeah,
Even though that last
I thought
play
that
was disappointing.
Yeah, I thought their pass pro, they had issues against the blitz, I thought, in this game. Hurts was 4 for 9 for 29 yards and a sack versus the blitz in this game. And I thought they had some issues in pass protection. I didn't think it was maybe as consistently clean and as it had been in past weeks. But yeah, man, that in the run game there, Landon Dickerson, I criticized that pick, but him in the run game, like he's crushing people. Lane Johnson might be a first team. How many games did he miss?
3, I believe.
Because Ramczyk is missing time with the
week
Saints.
3 I think it might have been 4.
Okay.
4 games.
If he keeps playing like this, he might be first team all pro right tackle. I mean, I don't know that he's ever played. He has played this well, but I think he's playing as well as he's ever played. I mean, he is moving people in the run game. And like, I don't write down a single time any of these games that like Lane Johnson's getting beat in pass protection. So he's been awesome. Driscoll had some issues in this game before he got injured. Herbig was like pass. I thought Herbig was fine for a backup. I mean, I know we were joking about it earlier, but I feel like if you have a backup guy coming in and playing center, and then having to move over to guard and you get that performance out of him, you're probably going to be pretty happy most of the time. I mean, some of these teams, it's just like, the quarterback doesn't have a chance. And that's not what happens with the Eagles when a guy goes down with an injury. And Mailata has become like the O-line Twitter darling.
Yeah.
And how old is he, Bo? I know you know everyone's age.
24.
24. I mean, man, just
If he was on if they didn't sign him to the extension, he would have made my prediction come true. What
was it again?
That he would be the highest paid left tackle in the league. Overall guarantee,
probably.
I think.
Yeah, it would have been right up there.
But that was also maybe silly to think that they wouldn't preemptively sign him. But
he didn't have to do it. I mean, he could have said no thanks unless you're giving me Trent Williams money. I'll just wait till the end of the season. But I think
we're maybe letting them off the hook a little bit for not running the ball more in this game. But
see, when you say that, I need to know exact situation where you think, all right.
So the one that jumps out to me,
first 2 drives.
First 2
they
drives.
passed the ball
right.
1 out of 8 plays, I think.
Ran the ball. The third drive of the game, they went 3 and out, and they ran the ball. They passed the ball all 3 times.
Okay,
I believe that was the third drive.
That's true. That's when I felt like they were trying to get Goddard a touch there. With the screen, get the ball in Goddard's hand. Third down, they got blitzed there, free rusher.
It was just like they played such a specific way over the previous 4 games, and nobody had stopped them, that it was weird for them not to, it was like they were trying to be cute to start the game.
Okay, but the second drive, they drove all the way down the field. I mean, they're driving 54 yards, 3 first downs before they throw the interception.
That's right.
That nice run.
Well, that second drive. Yeah, I mean, the second drive, though, they ran the ball. They ran the ball. But the first drive, and this gets into Miles Sanders discussions we've had, and where I talked about like productive first downs. First play of the game is -1. They're in 2nd and 11. Sirianni passes in 2nd and 11. And when that's Jordan Howard, that might be 3 yards, and you're in 2nd and 7.
And I think it was telling that Sirianni did not just blame the injury for Miles Sanders not being on the field at the end of the game. He said he was dinged up, but he's also said like they liked the way that Boston was running. And if you watch like the last couple Miles Sanders carries, it seems like he's leaving stuff out there.
Yeah, that's like I think they see their margin for error. It's fairly obvious, but you're a different team when you're in 2nd and 7 than 2nd and 11. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with the pass run ratio. I mean, the worst play in football is a run on 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 11. Now, maybe it's a little bit different with them because they are able to produce those explosive plays with their ground game. But like if Sirianni's listening to one thing from the analytics staff, maybe because didn't he said something about that, you said, right? Or was that somewhere else?
He said he doesn't have to run 2nd and 10, or he said
it's a hard down to run on.
You don't have to pass the ball on 2nd and 10. You can run the ball there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
so
he was basically saying no. But his point was they were passing some of the times because they were in 2nd and 3rd and long situations.
Yeah.
And he said you don't have to pass in those spots, but they're gonna pass.
But you probably should.
Yeah. I haven't done like a statistical comparison, but I would say watching it, you never feel like Miles Sanders is giving them an edge over Boston. I don't know what that says, but watching it, you're never like, oh, Miles Sanders just did something that Boston Scott could not have done. If anything.
Well, I think he in the game before he had that 25-yard run.
Even this game, didn't he he had a 20+ yarder in this game, I think, didn't he? Around the right side. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Really
so I guess if he gets space, if he doesn't have to do much, if he gets space and can just run in the open field, like he's going to beat Boston Scott in a race. But
it's an age old thing of like, which running back would you rather have? If they're both going to get 150 yards, however it may be, would you rather have the guy who's getting 5 yards? Would you rather have Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders? That's like those prototypes.
I was always a Barry Sanders guy. But
I'd much rather watch Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
All right, Zach, who's getting the Temple job?
That's an interesting one. I mean, you hear Stan Drayton, who was actually at Villanova when they recruited Brian Westbrook. You hear,
was he there when they recruited Brian Flynn? I don't think so.
That's what I want to know.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I would say for this segment, just like give everyone a label like that, because I feel like we can throw out names and I'll be like, all right, I don't know who he's talking about, but I'm just trying to
Oh yeah,
Fran Brown's a popular name among Temple people because he's a real good.
Who is he?
He's the Rutgers D-backs coach, but he used to be on Temple's staff, then went to Baylor with Matt Rule. If they kind of went outside the Temple family, I doubt they can land. I doubt they can land Mike Elko. He's the defensive coordinator for Texas A&M, but he went to Penn. There are some other guys.
You're going to a Penn guy right away? Come on.
Elijah Robinson. Elijah Robinson is, yes, he did coach away. Elijah Robinson is the D-line coach at Texas A&M, who was also on Temple staff, recruits this area well. And by the way, the Bears defensive coordinator, Sean Desai, right? Former Temple guy.
I like that one. I'd be all Templed up for that.
Yeah.
Fight for the cherry and the white.
So my view on Temple is this.
Get an Indian in there.
The biggest mistake they made, they made when they hired Rod Carey. It's not that they went after
Rod Carew.
It's not after that. It's not that they went after a Midwest guy. It's that they were so like they did not want to be a stepping stone job, and they wanted a guy who would be there. Right? They didn't. And if I was running Temple, I'd have no objection to being a stepping stone job. Like hire the guy who's on the rise up. Hire what Matt Rule was. Jeff Collins is a bad example, but if the guy's going to win for you for 3 or 4 years, you want your coach being looked at by bigger programs. If you're at Temple and you have a guy who's going to be there for 15, 20 years, you're probably not hiring the right coach. So my view is embrace being a stepping stone job. Find that 35, 36, 37-year-old coach who's going to be there for 4 years, and he's going to get hired somewhere else, and then you do the same thing all over again. That's my view on Temple.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yeah, I don't think you need somebody who's going to be there for 20 years. I mean, as long as the person is doing a great job while they're there, listen, that's the nature of like employment. I feel like your employer uses you use your employer. Everyone explore their options and figure out what's what. I mean,
I just think that makes Zach
uncomfortable.
Yeah, none of you seem to share my philosophy.
I just want to say that Temple should hire, either one of two people, Brian Flynn or Fran Duffy. That's really.
How about both of them?
Two-headed
I
monster.
would have to quit my job and beg that if they hired both of them, I would have to quit my job at The Athletic and say, I'll do anything. You want me to do PR,
I think we would
marketing,
write a book,
whatever.
Right?
You'd what?
We would embed ourselves and we would write a book.
That sounds like a lot of work. I would kind of rather just hang out, do some, go to the games, go to practices, maybe get stretched out by their staff a little bit. Use their
is this a
Theragons,
paid
their foam
position?
rollers.
You're looking for a cronyism
Yeah,
handout?
but I mean, this can be like very low level. I mean, I'm not expecting.
I guess we could do a podcast,
like a paid internship. Oh yeah, I mean, we'd get featured on game day probably. These guys had great jobs with the Athletic, and now they gave it all up for this Temple football program. Let's go to. It's not Tom Rinaldi anymore. Who's Gene Wojciechowski? Is that who's doing it? Right?
Does he still do it?
Yeah, I think he does it now instead
The
of Tom Rinaldi.
The problem is,
on game day.
Fran and Coach Flynn run the table 2 years in a row. We're getting ready for our podcast, and all of a sudden we get a text at night that says they love us, but they're heading off to
see you at 7 a.m.
Wake Forest. I don't know.
Yeah, see you at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Zach, I've been expressly requested to ask you what you think Syracuse should do. Should they move on from their underwhelming head coach
from Dino Bay? Yeah, I mean, this is a weird hiring cycle. I actually think Joe Moorhead would be a really good fit at Syracuse. Used to be the Fordham coach. I don't think he was bad at Mississippi State. He was obviously really good as Penn State's offensive coordinator. He's been good at Oregon stuff. I really liked the Dino hire when they made it. I just don't think he's running the offense that they thought he was going to run. They're a mediocre ACC team here. They're in that. So Syracuse is in that period now where like they put the coach on notice and they fire the coordinators, right? And that never seems to work, right? If you don't believe in the coach, like you either believe in the coach or you don't. How many teams, we're going to give the coach one more year, but we're going to make him fire his coordinators and so bring in a whole new system. It's kind of like the
Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. Like let the guy pick his coaches or not, So
okay. And I was also told to ask you, this was from DFOP Mike Weber, to ask you, when are you going to get enshrined into the Syracuse Radio Hall of Fame? He thinks you should be. You should have a bust.
I should not be in the Syracuse. I was not good on radio at Syracuse.
That made me think of something. I got to go get something.
This could be anything.
No, I did not speak clearly. I did not speak well. I was. And I did the show. I was like the most prepared radio host they had, right? Because the talk radio department, they were really into I don't want to say the hot takes, but having opinions and that kind of thing. And I was probably a little holier than thou then. I shouldn't have done that, but I'm like, it's all about the reporting. You have to know what you're saying. You have to show up. Jim Boeheim had all his practices open, and I'm like, you have to go to practice. You have to. If Greg Robinson doesn't know who you are, how can you be talking about him on radio? I was probably a little much there, but those guys are still my good friends.
That sounds fun.
They're doing awesome. Nick Wright, and Danny Parkins, and I can go on. Mike Meltzer. I can go on down the list. They're awesome guys. So, but anyways, I was more of a newspaper guy working at the radio station. Although I take great pride.
Marissa, you did radio at Maryland, right?
Yes, I was co-news director at WMUC Sports at Maryland. Yeah.
WNBC.
Yep. It was a good time. I actually went to the Browns Ravens games this past weekend, and I saw my other co-news director and met his wife, and it was a good time.
Well, I know you guys give me a hard time for, I'm not a rah-rah Penn State. So another Big Ten school gives me a little email. Hey, can you speak at our, we're doing a sports business conference. We'd love to have you. University of Michigan. I thought, wow, this is nice. Okay. So on a little panel for University of Michigan, with Aditi Kinkwabala, who I know, Zebram, I believe works for NFL Network, a couple other people, just an hour of my time, think nothing of it. Then in the mail comes this.
Look at that.
With a thank you card. Go Big Blue.
You love a thank you card.
I mean, the school that I attended graduated from their journalism program. They don't want me anywhere near any of their academic programs. They've never so much as sent me a T-shirt. And now Michigan is not only having me thank you card, jersey. I might have to.
They fly you up there?
I might. What's that?
They fly you up there?
No, it was
No,
remote.
it's a virtual conference.
Yeah,
Oh,
barely
okay.
anything. Signed on right here and did it. And so go Big Blue. You know, I might have to switch allegiances. I might have to get an honorary degree somewhere. Marissa, you know, of the Philip Merrill School of Journalism, right?
Yep. I will
Listen,
send them your email in
I'm
5
available.
minutes. Yes.
So listen, if anyone at Penn State is watching this, you're about to lose one of your distinguished alumni, and big win for us against Ohio State last weekend.
That was an awesome game. That was an awesome atmosphere to watch. Like,
I was gonna wear this. Lemur said I would make many Penn State Birds with Friends crossover listeners very upset if I did that. He would be one of them. But listen, I can be bought easily.
Yeah.
Well, we know that Bo's a big Michigan fan because his good friend from college is calling the plays there.
That's right.
Future Duke coach Josh Gaddis.
Duke, come on.
He's a
Yeah.
Durham native.
That's your friend, Bo?
No. he's
We
not.
joked about that on the podcast before. Don't you remember?
Yeah, and I couldn't remember.
Yeah. He said they went to Wake together. Yeah.
Yes, we did. Okay, I think we got to obviously close.
I gotta do something in my earbuds. When I ran upstairs, something happened.
We've got to discuss the just hilarious disaster that is going to be Brian Kelly and LSU. And Zach, maybe you can spin a little yarn here and take us back to the day that you spent with Brian Kelly. Just the two of you low those years ago.
It wasn't like a day spent. I did a story on Brian Kelly leading up to the Sugar Bowl in 2000. And
did he eat anything spicy that day?
Did he? You know what's interesting? I was going through my notes.
What's that
not
about?
recently, but Jason Kelsey and Connor Barwin were both on that team, and like were like at the media day. Yeah,
that's interesting.
I
I feel like Jason Kelsey must hate Brian Kelly.
You can ask him. You should ask him.
I would like to ask him that.
Look, this is my view on the Brian Kelly situation. I kind of agree with what Sheil said in that, like, I think everyone. I'm not one of these people who has outrage about someone taking a different job. In that,
I'm just going to put this on the chat just because it made me laugh, and I do not endorse it, but I do endorse it.
You have to do what's best for your career. You have to do what's best for your family, and it's not just like the contract itself, because it's not just the contract itself, because Notre Dame pays well too, right? It's the competitive zeal. I get it, but to me, what also matters is how you go, right? Like, we've all left jobs before. All of us have left jobs. Like, it'll be hypocritical I left the Inquirer to come here. You know, Sheil left ESPN to go to the Athletic, right? So but how
Marissa
you
left Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I was gonna reference you, but I know we keep that job quiet. But
I left the Eagles too.
Yeah, but how you leave matters, and I'm not going to give you like the holier than thou. You look these people in the eyes and ask them to commit to you, because look, if you're a college player, you know college coaches can leave, right? That's to me, you have to understand the business, and if you don't, welcome to the business. But how you leave matters, and I found that text message to be very unbecoming. Like, that would really bother me if I was a player for him.
There were all these things about, like, how dare Brian Kelly ask the players to have a 7 a.m. meeting the day after just, giving them the Irish goodbye and being such an a-hole, which is true. But my thought process was the opposite, that if I was in college, the only thing that would have gotten me out of bed at 7 a.m. would have been the opportunity to boo Brian Kelly to his face.
I would think that if you're a player there, your life is, there's a good chance your life's going to get a lot better with whoever the next coach is.
Completely.
That's one. And if I were an LSU fan, I can't imagine being more bummed or annoyed with the coach that my school hired.
I think he is going to.
He's going to do awesome there. He wins everywhere he goes.
No, he's not.
Nick Saban is going to eat his lunch.
3 years.
He will never finish a game within 10 points of Nick Saban.
Yeah.
So Bo and I have a bet. Bo and I have a bet.
Saban is going to kill him. I mean, this is the type of guy Saban is just going to eat for lunch.
Saban is like cracking up.
My
he's not
God.
No,
cracking
credit
up.
to our
Nick
editor Adam
Saban
Hirschfield.
is so happy about this hire that he's
Yes.
watching Zach Berman videos.
That's a good line. Bo said, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but we did say we were going to discuss it on the pod, so I don't feel like I'm speaking out of turn. Bo wanted to make a bet during our meeting today with our boss that
All right, hold on. This real quick. This needs to be a weekly thing because you've referenced this a couple times of Bo doing something on these calls where the editor has no idea what he's talking about. And I enjoyed the last
You know what's
one.
funny
and
is
you
it
haven't even
also
said
started
this
with the
one.
Michigan conversation.
Yes,
He's
yes.
playing
All right,
Michigan.
sorry. Go ahead. Let's just make this a standard feature on Tuesday.
Bo said that he'll never have a winning record in the SEC. And I said I would make that bet right now.
You said he's going to like compete for national titles. I
He
originally
will.
said there's no
God,
chance
he
he's
will
ever going to
not
make
do.
an SEC
He will. First off,
championship game, which I don't think
they're-
he's going to last 3 years.
Their last 3 coaches have won national championships, and Brian Kelly is a better coach than their last 2 coaches. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Like,
well, is he going to get Joe
number
Burrow?
one. Well, I mean, they have this.
I mean, that's
this-
why they won a national champion.
Yeah, but-
you're Mr. Players over coach. I mean,
Oh,
you can-
no, I agree, but-
Anyone can luck into that. You could,
Yeah, he'll get players there.
What player
you fall
is
into
going to
players
go
at
to LSU to play for Brian? Like
The same
Notre Dame
players who
has
went to
its
Notre Dame
own-
to play
No, because
at
that's its
home.
separate. It's got this separate prestige
So
thing
does
that
LSU.
is.
I don't
like,
think recruiting's not a hard thing to do at LSU.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
they're
gonna have
pretty-
players.
He's got
He
plenty of
can
money
coach
to
well.
throw around.
I'm just saying, I like.
They're
I
going to
think he'll
hate
be-
him.
I think
Everybody,
he'll be
everybody hates
insufferable.
him.
That's what it's going to be.
Well, I agree. He'll be insufferable. Like as a fan, like he'll
Exactly.
I
yeah,
think
he'll be as a
I
fan.
mean-
He'll be insufferable. But he'll win. I think
With-
the most overrated thing is like
It's not going to
he
win.
won't be a culture fit there. Like
Well, he
I
won't
mean,
be.
It
I
does
do
seem
think-
weird.
I
and
do
it-
think
it
it's
like-
funny.
a little
like-
bit
like
of
Coach
a
O
weird
was
fit.
the best culture fit you can imagine there. And
Yeah,
I
if he
shout out to
wasn't a
Brody
skis
Miller.
bag.
Brody Miller did an awesome job writing. Well, this whole thing, but he had a column today.
Brody
basically
Miller, I
saying-
think a Philly native, occasional
yeah,
listener.
South Jersey,
Is that
I
right?
think, right?
Shout out to
And
him.
I thought Brody's
think that's
point
right.
in his column today was really good. That like what LSU needed was like a process-oriented adult in the room, and that's what
Is he
Brian
an
Kelly
adult in
can
the
be.
room?
He's like, yeah, he's not an adult in the room at all. He's flipping guys
flicking
off on the
players off.
sideline. He's like the bigot, like
This guy has a bad. This
he's a
was rife
child.
with controversy. His tenure.
He acts like a toddler,
God's
like
gift.
before
He thinks he's
bedtime.
God's gift.
on the
Good, I'm
sideline.
glad.
I'm not
He's
saying I'm
awful.
rooting for this to happen, but
I
like,
think
look,
he's the second
his
worst
track
guy in
record-
college football.
his track record.
Dacio?
Yeah,
You can't dispute his
until
shit.
Urban comes back.
From Grand Valley State to Central Michigan to Cincinnati to Notre Dame, no place like that. Like they never won like when he was there. So, well, I shouldn't say that. Notre Dame won
Cincinnati might make
Notre
it to
Dame-
the,
in the previous
might make
years.
the playoffs.
Okay.
He inherited the program was he's left every program in much better shape than the way he found it. He's a really good coach. I'm not
You'll
saying
see.
he's like I'm not saying
You'll see.
he's a
I
like
don't,
he's
I don't
he's
see
not a
anyone
particularly
saying,
electric
let's
guy.
go copy, let's go to South
Let's
Bend
get the
and see
Brian
what
Kelly
Brian
offense.
Kelly's doing.
Yeah.
The offense, the defense, the culture. Listen, I think he is in for a rude awakening. I would definitely lean more towards Bo's side. I'm trying to decide. I mean, a winning record, that to me
It's
seems
a
like
very
a pretty
low
low bar. It's a
So what
very
are
That's
the
low
not
stakes?
bar.
happening, I feel.
So
So
I'm
is,
not willing to go that. I'm happy to go to he will never appear. His teams will never appear in the college football playoff.
What about dinner at
No,
Kalaya?
never in the SEC championship game either. What'd you say?
What about dinner at Kalaya?
What about what?
We'll bet dinner at Kalaya. Is it Kalaya or Kalaya?
Oh, Kalaya. Sure.
Yeah, Kalaya. Okay.
Well, I mean, it
Yeah,
depends.
we'll bet
If you
dinner at
think he's going to be coaching, to 10 years there, then we're going to be waiting a while. I mean, can we put like a little?
I think how much will you give me if how about this? Over the next 3 years, if he doesn't make it to coaching their first game of the fourth season, I get a bonus. And if he makes it to an SEC championship game within the first 3 seasons, you get a bonus.
Say this again.
Marissa's thrilled with this bet that's going to cash in, what is it?
Yeah.
2000.
3 years. Do you think he'll make an SEC championship game within 3
2025?
years?
It's
Marissa's like, I will not be here when this.
honestly, that's
if
that's
I
hard
am,
because you got
something's gone
Alabama.
horribly wrong.
To be
You got
fair,
Alabama
if
involved.
Marissa's still producing this podcast within 3 years, something has gone horribly wrong.
That's it.
I would agree.
I
with that.
certainly,
Yeah,
I
okay.
certainly don't want to stake my reputation on the Brian Kelly hire.
Well,
right?
it certainly
Like,
sounds like you
I
do.
think it's
The
too
Lincoln
late for that.
Riley
I think
hire.
it's Sheil and Jalen Reagor, Zach and Brian Kelly.
I am all in on the Lincoln Riley hire at USC. Like I would bet he wins huge.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
think about the fan base.
He is good.
USC, you're excited. Wow, we got Lincoln. We just stole Lincoln Riley from
Right.
Oklahoma. This is awesome. Let's go. And then LSU, Brian Kelly.
Great.
I mean, I want to know. I mean, how close? I want to know. I think there's a story to be told about the Eagles' interest in Brian Kelly back
Yes.
when they hired Chip Kelly.
Yes.
I mean, I don't have like firm reporting that I can go on something, but I think that was legit.
There was interest, but I
I
also
was
think
ready.
there was,
That was like I was like not quite at Riley Cooper levels, but like if they hire this guy, I gotta leave this place. Like, what are we doing here?
I also think there was interest. There was interest on his side too, right? I think that was part of it. My understanding of that year, they really liked Bill O'Brien. Like they really liked Bill O'Brien. I know that they were impressed with him.
They liked Sumlin too.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
There was some juice around legit juice.
that came
I
out
think,
after
around
the
something.
fact. Someone thing. O'Brien was at Penn State at the time. Didn't want to leave for the Eagles job, but O'Brien's an interesting coach to watch here. Like where he ends up, because I don't think he's maximized that Alabama offense this year. And there are some jobs, whether you're talking about Duke, Notre Dame, like there are some jobs where you can see him as a potential coach. But
He was a fine college.
yeah,
I
he was
mean,
a fine
in a
NFL
difficult
coach too.
situation.
There goes back to the Penn State
No,
homer.
he was not a fine NFL head coach.
No, he was a really bad GM, but like
Well,
he was a fine coach.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they lucked into some stuff, I think.
Okay.
They did make the playoffs with some bad
Yeah.
quarterbacks, but I think it was circumstances.
It was a bad division as well.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not staking my reputation on Bill O'Brien either. I'll put the I'm really impressed with this isn't a bold take. Matt Campbell and Luke Fickell are two really good coaches, and wherever they end up, whether they stay still or go somewhere else, like I would bet on both those guys because they make players better. Players leave better than what they came there.
It's very weird to me, like the Fickle to Notre Dame thing, that everywhere it's written like, well, he's very Catholic. Like he grew up in a Catholic house. Him and his wife are very Catholic. Why can't it just be like he's a very good coach? Like
It's Notre
why
Dame.
Why do I know? But why do they have
What
to
do you
virtue
mean?
signal
Why?
like that about like they've got this defensive coordinator who's in the way,
Marcus
like
Freeman,
waiting
he's
in
awesome.
the wings, who's really
He's
good,
awesome.
right? Like
Yeah.
Well,
like,
is he
oh, we
is he
wanna-
really Catholic?
I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know.
oh well, we got it.
But no, so even though I just said how good a coach Brian Kelly is, and even though I am a Michigan fan, I've said that on the pod. The scenario that I am
You're a
fascinated to
Michigan
see-
fan?
Yeah, we've discussed that. I grew
Oh,
up
man,
with
Fab Five. Yeah, I
Come
didn't know
on.
football.
Yeah,
I
Fab
thought it was
Five.
a basketball.
Yeah, I like Tim Batuka and Tyrone Wheatley. Those
Great
were the guys
name.
I grew up with.
Geschminga.
But the scenario that fascinates me here is if Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame under the pretense that he has a better chance of winning the national title, and then Notre Dame makes the college football playoff this year because of events that happened this weekend. Like if I'm Brian Kelly, by the way, I also say, hey, if you want me this badly, like if you're gonna pay me $100 million, you have leverage here, right? Wait 1 week, sit still, wait 1 week. I'm
Yeah.
interested in going to you, but
I
Why?
think they need
Why
like the
would he
week
want?
of
Why would he
recruiting,
want to
right?
wait
Like-
1 week? What's that going to do for him?
because his team could like be
Yeah,
in
but
the
then what?
championship.
Then what are they going to wait for
Yeah,
the playoffs too?
He just
Like,
wants the announcement.
I
Yeah.
guess I do think it's going to affect them with the committee.
you think
I
Urban goes?
genuinely no, I think it's going to be Fickle or
I've never
Urban
believed,
wants to go to Notre Dame
and I'm
so
not
bad.
discounting the reporters who reported this, but I've never believed reports less than these reports that Urban Meyer's committed to the Jaguars. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he's committed to the Jaguars like Brian Kelly was committed to Notre Dame.
by the time this podcast
Less.
is over,
Way
he could
less.
already have a deal done somewhere. That would not shock me.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
that
probably
team
driving
is a
distance to
freaking
Urban Chop House.
disaster. Okay. All right.
But it would serve, again, I'm not saying coaches have to be in the same place for 20 years. And I actually think it's good for a coach who's been somewhere for 10 years to shake it up.
Bill
too,
Walsh,
right?
he said 5 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it would be absolutely hilarious if Brian Kelly jumps ship and they make the college football playoffs. Like that would crack me up.
Also insane to me, the possibility that, like, if Alabama wins and Oklahoma State wins, that the committee would leave out Cincinnati.
That would be ridiculous.
They should close. Like, they should fold the sport.
Cincinnati, if they'd be 13-0, right? Because they have Houston this weekend.
13-0.
If they're 13-0, they beat Notre Dame, they beat Houston, they deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing? What's the point of this? What's the point of the sport? It's so dumb.
But
Desmond Ridder is Nate Tice's QB1 for this class.
I've been talking about Desmond Ridder since the pod last year, if you remember, when I said the quarterback, my under the radar quarterback. I think he's a fine guy, like a fine quarterback. I don't think he's
like, are we talking like looks wise, like D'Amico Ryans, or
no? I'm talking he's like solid. He's like
well, that should come back. I mean, people don't use fine like that anymore, right? I mean, I thought that was a great era.
Of course, the son of John Ritter.
She fine, yeah.
But I made this joke at the press conferences today, where I said,
joke.
No, I said every assistant coach who like leaves the podium, when the camera turns off, he should say to the beat guys, he said, hey, do you guys mind floating my name out there for this job or that job? Like the greatest career move you could have is just floating a name out there. Right. Like,
well, I mean, that's what's going on with Kingsbury, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants more money or an extension. Like
James
Cliff
Franklin
Kingsbury's going to leave the Cardinals to go coach Oklahoma. I mean, what? Why would he possibly do that?
I mean, Mel Tucker, like Mel Tucker is a good coach. He's Big Ten Coach of the Year. Michigan State had a good year. But what, he got a 10-year, $9.5 million, like $95 million contract because he was put out there that LSU and NFL teams were interested. Like, hey, I'm happy for him that he got paid.
Yeah, he really capitalized. I mean,
exactly.
That's an outstanding CTC job.
He struck right when the iron was perfectly hot. Yeah, when it was fine.
Yeah, so my point is like just put your name out there. Hey, float my name if you're Jonathan.
Right. I've heard that Oklahoma might be interested in Shane Steichen.
Oh my gosh! If it wouldn't
they
wouldn't jeopardize your integrity as a reporter, I would really love if you were just able to, if you could just tweet that. But that would be unethical.
I have cultivated such a stupid Twitter presence that I could probably report that, and nobody would bat an eye.
That's true. Yeah, I can't argue with you there.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. A lot of good Eagles talk, good college football talk, and of course, we come back on Thursday to preview Elijah Bowl 2021. That'll be at 3:30 on Thursday. Go ahead.
And also, I'm gonna post some of these plays that we talked about on Instagram. Some people asked for a little narration, so as awkward as it might be, I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. So we'll talk about the plays that we talked about here, but kind of show what it actually looked like.
Have you already done it?
At Sheil Kapadia? No, I have not.
Okay, you're going to do it. Okay.
Also,
maybe.
for all,
I mean, you know how I go. I'm pretty flaky with these things, but give me a follow anyway at Sheil Kapadia.
For all the listeners who are also athletic readers, please check out Zach Kiefer's story today on Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
I mean, it was nothing against the story, but like if you don't want to read about Carson Wentz,
I think it's relevant to our listeners, and I want to point it out as the company man on this podcast. Sure. Carson Wentz spoke about it, so.
Also, Dane Brugler's got his first 2022 mock draft up, and he will be on the Athletic Football Show tomorrow morning, so you can download that as well.
We're really gonna have to go deep. Like I feel like I need to start my draft research next week. I mean, it's 3 picks.
We're gonna have to really analyze the quarterbacks for the first time.
We're really gonna have to go out there with takes. I mean,
I like that Dane mock today. Like that'd be a good outcome for these.
You think so?
That'd be a really good outcome.
I was pretty tepid.
Let's cover that Thursday.
I like all three of those players. All three of those players.
All right. Well, and also to those of you who have subscribed over the past week, who are listeners with that Birds with Friends promo code, thank you for doing so. And if you haven't done it yet, I think it's still a pretty good deal, 33% off. If you go to theathletic.com/birds with friends, make sure you are evangelizing the show, downloading, deleting. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, and go Browns, I guess. For Zach, Sheil, and Marissa, I'm Bo. We'll talk to you on Thursday at 3:30. And as always,